I saw Wonka on the plane, and gosh, it really is just as bad as it looks. I'm officially home. I'm officially back from Gamescom opening night live, and I'm finding myself more than usual thinking about the purpose of these particular types of live showcases. So let's go back to the early summer. Let's go back to Summer Game Fest. A news story came out around the week of Summer Game Fest where a developer had leaked precisely how much it cost to get a trailer into Summer Game Fest and how much each additional 30 seconds of trailer time costs. And no, I'm not about to show you that article right now because yes, I am employed by Summer Game Fest, but as a regular person who likes watching these showcases, it was news to me and I was interested in it. And it hadn't even occurred to me that a longer trailer would cost more money, even though that should be obvious now. Anyway, that story didn't really get a lot of traction, I think, because the prices were actually, considering other things, other ways you can spend advertising dollars, not that bad when you look at the ratio to the audience or whatever. Anyway, it was around that time that I learned that Gamescom puts their numbers out publicly for what they ask for opening night live. I'm not exposing anything here. They're on their website. Here they are. A regular 90-second trailer in opening night live will cost you €215,000. Dang, you're thinking. Every trailer in the show pays that much? No, actually not every trailer pays that much. Because there's two ways in. There's the editorial path for new game announcements and breaking game news that drives awareness and audience for the live stream. And then there's sponsorships, which is where you purchase in-show time to promote games and initiatives that do not qualify for editorial placement, or games that are about to be released. That means it's someone's unenviable job to determine whether a game announcement is newsworthy or not. They have to be on the phone with studios explaining to them whether or not they have to pay nothing or hundreds of thousands. And to be fair, I shouldn't say nothing. Because even if you are considered editorial, you still have to purchase an on-site booth minimum 100 square meters or some other buyer-to-consumer activation at the convention center with a minimum investment of €60,000. So it's not anybody can just plop some cash onto a German desk. You have to have some investment into Gamescom. But also, you don't necessarily have to have that. There's also some games that get in for free. Gamescom calls these wildcards. These are offered to very strong editorial content and announcements from independent developers and or publishers with global revenue under €100 million a year. And that's a nice initiative. I like that. That's a nice thing to do. And yet, it's still hard to look at this kind of thing uncynically. It's hard to look at these trailers that are getting long and you're like, wow, I wonder how much they paid for this. It's hard not to look at it as the money machine. And full disclosure, as ONL pre-show host, none of this is my responsibility. I don't even want to know. And yet, earlier today, I found this chart on the Gamescom website, which shows you the considerable value of pre-show time slots. Gamescom really just lays it all out there. And it would be understandable if you're looking at that chart and you're thinking, dang, if that's what 30 seconds costs, Kyle must be some kind of Euro millionaire. No. Okay, no. I only have to pay a fraction of that amount to get into the pre-show. Anyway, maybe this is only weird to those of us who grew up watching traditional old press conferences, where the purpose of the event is explicitly just to sell the products of the publisher or platform holder showing the event. EA press conference, selling EA games. PlayStation press conference, selling PlayStation games. But today we have these showcases that appear to be press conferences. They have the same format. There's still people on a stage talking to a live audience of game fans and then showing them a trailer for them to cheer at. The primary difference is the purpose. Not to sell a particular product, but to sell time slots in that show. And the weird thing is, it works. Not only do they sell the time slots, but the audience shows up for it and is entertained. And yeah, if you read the comments, a lot of them are negative. Trust me on that. But the thing is, these shows still manage to grow. But I think there's just something innately appealing on a deep level about these old-fashioned live presentations that makes them feel like they matter. even if they aren't as much curated as they are bought into. If you missed it, I would like to show you the most buzzworthy moment of Opening Night Live 2024.
There you have it. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is coming out this December for Xbox Game Pass and PC. But there is one more thing that Machine Games and Bethesda wanted to share with you about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. The game's coming to PlayStation 5 in spring of 2025.
There's some context that makes this scene even funnier in that earlier that week, way in advance of the show going live, that reveal leaked. Still, host Jeff Keighley had to go through with that moment as it was rehearsed. You can't just call Bethesda and say, hey, it leaked. Can you give us a version with music that's less wondrous? Even if this didn't leak, I can't see how it possibly was conceived to be a one more thing moment. It's not even news that Xbox fans would be happy about. Still, what I'm saying this week is, even if that moment was devoid of excitement, even if, let's just say if it was devoid of excitement, it was still interesting to watch. That was still a weird thing to see somebody try to do. There's still some strange entertainment in somebody thinking that was a good idea. And, to their credit, the German audience did politely clap. Probably the highest profile new game announcement at Opening Night Live was for Borderlands 4. Now, this poor marketing team had a great idea. Conceptually, they had the Borderlands movie coming out August 9th. It'll probably be a hit. Baseline, the very least it could be is a Prince of Persia level hit, right? So you'll be running in with that. 11 days later, you announce Borderlands 4 in front of a live audience. Huge, right? Unfortunately, as we discussed last week, that movie plopped and disintegrated worse than anyone could have predicted. So there's not a lot of Borderlands enthusiasm coming into last week. Something I find funny about the trailer itself is that it actually has two grand reveals. It has one for fans and then one for people who have only looked at the front of the game covers. Right after you see 2K and Gearbox, this Phoenix appears. It's the opening seconds of the trailer. Any B-Lands fan worth their salt, or someone like me who just watched the movie trailers for the first time last week, now knows we're looking at Borderlands. For everyone else, they're left guessing what this is until the final seconds when this robot hand with long fingernails flips the iconic Borderlands mask over. Now we're all on the same page? Title reveal. It's a trailer conceptualized and designed to be part of a live show. To be seen once collectively, basically. You can't have this long, suspenseful build-up to a title reveal in any other circumstance. If you click Borderlands 4 official teaser trailer with this stupid mask in the thumbnail, you're about to watch a pointlessly long and redundant video. It's like reading "There's a monster at the end of this book" twice. It's like watching an episode of Claim to Fame titled "John Cryer's Niece Goes Out in This One." It's like going to a gender reveal party and all the decorations are blue. We'll workshop this. Anyway, what I mean to say is I think the stakes create the purpose. You are constantly aware as a viewer that there is a live audience in the theater and online. You're all in this together, watching this Call of Duty demo second to second. At the very same moment, we all see this thick armor guy walk into a hallway like a final boss and get popped instantly by a remote-controlled car. And right there, the whole world collectively, universally, thinks that was stupid. And as rude as this is to say, I think shows like this don't even have to be that good to be entertaining. It's mostly about the human connectedness. That said, official statement here, excellent Opening Night Live, maybe one of the best ever. Phenomenal presentations, outstanding trailers. If anything, I wish it was longer. Official score, 9.5. And that's delayed input. I will be back next week. Hope to see you then. Thanks for watching. So there was an official Gamescom Xbox interview session with Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer. And there's this funny moment where Phil Spencer implies that nobody should really be surprised that Indiana Jones is going to PlayStation 5 because this.
Going to the PlayStation announcement, obviously last spring, we launched 4 games, 2 of them on the Switch, 4 of them on PlayStation, and we said we're going to learn. We said we'd watch. I think at Showcase, I might have said from our learning, we're going to do more.
Mm-hmm. While the first part was true, he did at no point in the 2024 Xbox Showcase say anything close to from our learning, we're going to do more. He just said stuff like this.
And from our own creative teams at Activision, Bethesda, Blizzard, and Xbox Game Studios, who are doing what I believe is some of their best work ever.
Never once talked about cross-platform stuff. Anyway, it was weird watching that moment again back to back with podcast Phil Spencer, because here's the thing, we've talked about it before, but it's relevant again in this week's discussion about old press conference styles, because that's what this was. You're looking at Phil Spencer's press conference demeanor. And this style made sense for old press conferences, right? Where the purpose is to talk about your games in front of the press and in front of commercial distributors. Not so much today, when your audience is almost entirely your audience, people who would want to play your video games. And if it's not clear what we're talking about here, here's what I think are the 3 essentials of press conference demeanor. 1, never end a sentence without a gesture. 2, emphasize emphatically. And 3, be confidently humorless. And that one's the strangest standout element to me. It's like, what makes it different, right? Because even when you think of like a political speaker, even when they have to cover the driest and most serious subjects you could possibly have to talk about in front of people, they still know when to interject humor just to keep your audience engaged. With press conference demeanor, humor is a weakness. Humor is a waste of time. Now, let me tell you the first and last name of our main character. This is Hayden Jack. But there's another really funny moment in that Xbox Gamescom interview where the host asks Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer what they've been playing lately. And this moment is where Phil Spencer actually lets his guard down for a moment, because the thing is, Phil Spencer likes playing video games, and he just kind of begins to become a nerd for a second, and it's very endearing. However, I would like for you to note at which point in his response, the hands come out from behind the desk.
Phil, anything for you?
Well, P3 on Xbox Live, people can see what I'm playing. A lot of Diablo 4 right now. My rapid fire rogue is L100, all my glyphs to 21. Yeah. Having a good time with that. I mean, I just love the game, playing with my friends. Path of the Goddess, Kunitsugami, nice, yeah. Like our partners at Capcom doing new IP. It was awesome to be able to partner with them. It's something in Game Pass. As they're investing in new, like we can actually come in with some financial funding to help support.
Study up. That's what business hands look like.